I met Chris like 15 years ago. I was doing my master's in England, and he was a teacher here. We just met. We had a few drinks, and this is how I got to meet him. And then we kept on saying one day we're gonna do some work together and probably a project together. And at some point in like 2016, 17, I think, he found an archive online for two American tourists who came to Lebanon, and it was being sold on eBay. And then he sent them to me and he's like, "Hey Noel, I found this. What do you think about it? Would you like to do something about this as a project together? We can collaborate with something." And I had to obviously look at the material. So he scanned everything, he sent them to me, and it was a very interesting archive because those two tourists actually came, and they just came for a couple of days and stayed in Phoenicia, traveled to, they went to Baalbek, sorry. So they went to Baalbek, came back, and they just documented that journey in Phoenicia, in Baalbek, and on the way. And this is where it started. So I said, Chris was, the main concern was like, Chris was telling me, is this feasible? Because, someone coming from UK, and like he would see, geographically speaking, it's completely different. Like London, London itself is probably bigger than the whole Lebanon. So in terms of scale, visualizing it for me is way different than the way he visualized it. And I told him, yeah, it is feasible, we can do the project. It will require obviously visiting over a few trips, and then it can be done. So what was very interesting in the approach of the book is that, first of all, it was like all the pictures were first of all shown in the book, like there were no restrictions. Second is that because Reza actually, Abed was the art director also, not only the book but also the exhibition as well in terms of curation. His knowledge and Reza Abdini's sensitivity to the project ended up creating an experience in the book that you would have had almost in a way by doing the project itself. So it's not the ordinary type of book where you would flip the pages to the images, but even design-wise and concept-wise, it was overall layered in a way where you would experience what we experienced ourselves, but also by respecting also, you would feel the time frame, and you would feel each and every, I would say, step on the way itself is there, it's present, you can see the layers, you can feel them. It's a whole beautiful experience. But also adding to the book, the Viewmaster that technically allows you to see and experience also what they experience, because that's what they experience is a bit different than our experience. Overall, having the book is a very interesting, I would say, object itself. So the image is not only the one picture that you're seeing on the wall, but the whole experience that you're going through. And of course, the text at the start of Fadi to Failure also was beautifully engaging, and it's heavy, it's beautiful. So yeah. The books obviously represents in a way, it's very much what they would have had probably when they were carrying their camera on, so it's also put in a way where it's representative of vernacular photography itself, because that's what you would have had 40, 50 years ago. So yeah, overall the experience is, you have the project in not only in book, but in a beautiful. The photograph that comes with the book is actually these are limited edition pictures that are exactly the pictures that we took ourselves, and so yeah, you have that with the book also. It's overall complete, I would say. Yes. I want one. Well, I mean, when Chris actually came to Lebanon, we had first was the technical part we had to deal with, because the camera they were using kind of not available anymore for us, so we had to, that's the camera we used ourselves. So we found those cameras online also, so we purchased 2 of these, and we decided that since the project is done with a camera that creates 2 pictures, that's the archive itself. So you have 2 images, and when you look at them through the ViewMaster, you would have an order that would go in, and then the 2 pictures, when you look at them, it gives you the illusion of a 3D. No, that's an iPhone. The one we got is an iPhone. The one they used is it's a telescope, but the name of it. So the camera would take at once 2 pictures, and the pictures are a bit slightly different. And if you look at the pictures in the archive, you will notice that the 2 pictures have a slight difference in their angle of view. And that's why when you look at it in the ViewMaster, you would see that you're looking at the same picture with that slight shift, and it gives you the illusion of 3D. So that's the idea of it. And what technically was challenging is finding a camera that's a 6x6 as camera, so it's the same format, it's a square. And at the same time, it's very close to a vernacular kind of photography, because it's limiting us in terms of aperture. So we only have 2 apertures, 11 and 6.3. And we have, in terms of shutter speed, just a couple of shutter speeds also, like we have 1/100, 1/30 MB. So we're very limited technically, so we're very much also acting like tourists. So we didn't have professional cameras on us. And also just a point and shoot kind of camera. And because the archive had 2 pictures, one for the right, one for the left, we printed the pictures out. And one was the one, I think I took the right, Chris took the left. And every time we were able to find the exact spot, we would actually, one of us would go there, take a picture without a tripod, without anything, just again like tourists, having the reference of the right picture for me, the left for Chris. And without knowing where the other person exactly stood, we took those 2 pictures. And at the end, we ended up doing the project together. So yeah, that's the process. Initially, the plan was taking the pictures, and then we scanned the right and the left together. It was a bit of experimental in terms of approach. We ended up with the final results, and the plan was actually having an exhibition in Lebanon, an exhibition. We realized that it was very interesting to have that shift, because both of us took 2 pictures, also having 2 different references. But even if you have a reference, you still have also the point of view is different, because as a photographer you have also a bit your own way of framing. So when we scanned them, we realized that it's very interesting that we're still getting the same, not really the same, but I mean the feeling of having that shift in the space itself, and also represents a lot, not only geographically, but historically, and a bit the country, a bit like Lebanon itself. So it was very interesting to keep that shift in one visual. Lebanon. So I was very intrigued, although yeah, I've seen pictures from that, but working on a project that was shot during that period is very challenging, because not only you're noticing it's intriguing to also see their point of view, like what did they know about Lebanon, why did they visit, what were they after. On each and every shot, we're wondering about those people, like in their kind of, from one of the pictures we can guess around like in their 60s maybe, or 70s even. So we're wondering like, what were they thinking of? But also you standing exactly at that specific spot where they stood, and redoing it after so many years, and after all what the country has gone through and that you survived. It's a beautiful experience, but you even also add to it the part where you have Chris, who's also taking his own image, and he's also looking at your country in a different way. So it's many layers that it's like kind of time travel. At the same time, you know that this country is constant turmoil, and even looking at now, you realize that it's actually looping at it again. So even if I go back to those spots again now, there'll be another different even in 2 years. So it's a kind of timeless type of project that I think the space in Lebanon, because of its history, is very charged. So although it's very innocent what you are doing, the outcome of it, people don't want to face it. They don't want to look at a space documented in an image or framed in a way and just face it that, okay, this happened. They want to, there's this part of living in denial constantly of whatever happened, because we never had the proper closure of the civil war itself. So there's no one wants to have that framed on a wall or in a book or archived or disseminated everywhere. They don't want that. They want to just go past that space that's very controversial, where they were, whatever happened there and whatever it's charged with historically, politically, you name it. And yes, they just want to live forgetting that that space actually exists.